Hey everyone, welcome to DMI Live. We are back as usual to give you some counter Dawa fun. I'm here as usual with Mr. Stop Spamming, and tonight we're going to be looking at a Muslim Lantern video with some major cope going on about people leaving the religion, which in his mind is sort of impossible. He just goes into complete denialism over it every single time. Mr. Spamming, how are you doing, sir?
Excellent, thank you. And glad to hear that you're okay.
Yes, finally, my health is, I am back to 100%. Allah could not keep me down. I am raring to go, and that will mean finally I will be doing all the videos I keep saying I'm going to be doing. They will be done next week, I promise.
So my prayer obviously worked.
Yes, well, and also the marvels of modern medicine, which is what really helps.
That's secondary.
But forget miracles. You just need some good science and some good medicine, and I am back to feeling excellent. So, hey to everyone in the chat. Hey, Rising Damp. Hey, Valentino. I think we should just get straight into this, Stocks, and see.
Let's go.
Just a bit of context here. This first part of the video, there is a one-time Hollywood actor called Terrance Howard, and Muslim Lantern is responding to a video clip of him. He recently went on a podcast and he was talking about how he used to be a Muslim, but he left because of the behavior of some Muslims. And we're going to see a sort of his response. And then after that, there's another ex-Muslim woman who's talking about Islam. So we're going to look at his reaction to both of these and counter just the enormous amount of lying that that the Muslim Lantern does in response to this. So without further ado, let's start with the first bit.
All right, fellas, let's go.
So let's get right into it, inshallah. So we have this Hollywood actor, famous actor. His name is Terrance Howard. And he was with the biggest shell in human history, the biggest agent in the universe, PVD, that everyone knows, of course. I mean, we've reacted to his clips before, saying things which are inaccurate and stuff like that. I mean, it's interesting that a lot of people now are noticing and have noticed that he's being essentially, paid or told or any of these things so he can spread misinformation and propaganda.
Right, I'm just going to stop there. I mean, I don't think this Patrick Bet-David guy is specifically there to, spread misinformation about Islam or anything like that. But I will slightly agree with Muslim Lantern. He is a shady character, this guy. But considering that criticism is coming from an even more shady character, the Muslim Lantern, I do think it's a bit rich, this criticism. But yeah, he is. And Terrance Howard is also a bit of a lunatic. People may know him from... he was on the Joe Rogan podcast trying to talk about how 1 × 1 = 2, and he thinks he's come up with some mathematical system to, replace kind of modern physics. He's basically just a crank. So we've got a trio of kind of grifting cranks here, but we're going to be focusing obviously on the Islam side of things.
I've never heard of him. Never heard of the agency. No clue.
He was in the Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie, and he was also apparently he was involved in a lot of domestic abuse stuff as well, and that got him kicked out of Hollywood. And he just seems to have become a bit of a lunatic. But that doesn't mean what he says about Islam is necessarily wrong. But I will acknowledge he's a bit of a weird, crank basically. But anyways, let's get into it.
So let's have a look. So he allegedly says that he was a Muslim and he left Islam. So let's hear what he has to say.
Did you ever become a Muslim?
Yes, my name was Suleiman. Practiced a lot, did all of that.
For how long?
Up until I was 13.
Up until 13, you're Muslim. Mm-hmm. And then how did you walk away from it?
I've talked about this before, but there was...
So the first thing is this, right? First thing is this. Before we even get into the story that he's about to say, he says he was a Muslim up until he was 13 years old. Okay? You realize what that means. So someone is saying he left the religion when he was 13 years old.
That's what he started thinking.
Elementary school, and apparently he says he left Islam. As if you're in that age, you're able to make proper assessments of world religions and information and what is proof and what is accurate and what is right and what is wrong.
Right, well, isn't this interesting for a number of reasons? First of all, the innate fitra argument they would use at any other time has suddenly gone out the window. I thought we were all born Muslims, right? Except for apparently when you leave, then you were never a Muslim. So isn't that convenient? But secondly, I left my religion when I was about 13 years old. I'm not saying that it means, yes, like you can give like some brilliantly world-class philosophical reason. Yes, you're still learning, but you are starting to think. And I think it's perfectly reasonable to say, look, some things don't add up here. And people do leave their religion. You can verbalize it better as you get older. And I don't know if you remember, Slots, when we were doing an episode of the Gin and Tonic Show, we did what's his name? Was it Adnan? It was one of these Dawa guys who was talking about how he was basically like doing Dara and stuff when he was 10 years old or something. He'd read all the world religions by the time he was 10 years old. He already worked out that Islam was true. So apparently, if you're a Dawa guy and you work out that Islam is true at the age of 10, that's all right. But if you realize that Islam is not a religion for you, that you don't think it's true, oh no, you're too young. How could you possibly know? So this amazing double standard is going on here.
Aisha was a scholar by that time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, apparently Aisha knew that she wanted to get married at 6. Apparently she was old enough to know that, but no, and to consummate it at 9. But 13, no, that's way too young to understand that Islam isn't true. It's just the double standards are just so blatant. As I say, how many times has Muslim Lantern himself done the innate fitra argument? And say we're all born Muslims, and this is obviously true. You've got an innate, ability to know that God exists, and all you need is that little sprinkling of knowledge about Islam, and you're golden. So it's just such duplicity.
And Muslim Lantern how old do you think he is? Is he like 28, 30 or something like that?
I'd imagine late 20s, early 30s, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But excuse me, he is so old, and he still believes in talking ants and slapping a corpse with a stake revives it, and he believes shit like that.
Oh, and my favourite one, which was that hadith that I found out earlier this year, was when the rock that ran off
running away with the clothes.
With the clothes of was it Muhammad's clothes himself? I can't remember.
No, Moses.
I mean, that apparently is true, and that's completely rational. All the. But if you don't believe it, then suddenly, oh, you're just a child. What do you know? Sorry, just a couple of comments. If Terrance Howard didn't go back to Islam, then the fact he was young when he left is irrelevant. Well, yeah, exactly. This is the point. It's not like he got older and then decided, oh no, Islam was right. But they're all getting triggered though. I've seen all these Darwa guys. As I say, so I've been away for the last few days. I haven't really been keeping up with stuff, but apparently all the Darwa guys are getting triggered, and they always do. And it's not really to do with him. It's the fact that it's on a big famous podcast that lots of people watch, and Islam looks bad, so therefore they've all got to jump in there and say, oh no, he's a fraud and all the rest of it. I'm pretty sure that religion is externalized coping mechanism for things that are unintegrated. The more delusional, the more psychologically damaged the practitioners are. Well, yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to, I'm not going to say that, you can be a well-adjusted religious person, you can be an intelligent religious person. I'm not saying anything against that, but yeah, I would certainly say the critical thinking is lacking in certain areas. Yeah, and if a child converts to Islam at 13, then he would be a champion. So yeah, well, yeah, this is exactly it, though, isn't it? Yeah, then they would be like singing it from the rooftops, and they'd be parading them around the city and stuff like this, and saying, "Oh wow, what a miracle from Allah." But if you leave, then you were never really Muslim anyway. So yeah, it's all bollocks.
They're making a big deal of children reciting the Quran. So
I saw one that recently. What was it, like a 4-year-old or something?
Yeah,
memorized the Quran, and they're all saying it's a miracle. It's like, no. That's just a tremendous waste of that child's time.
Exactly.
You better be reading some Roald Dahl books or something. I don't know. Anyways, let's carry on.
So, I mean, do you really leave a religion at the age of 13? Do you really leave a religion?
Yes.
I mean, if your kid is 13 years old and he said, I left religion, whatever the religion, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, whatever it is, would you take that claim seriously, or say this kid is young and have a small discussion with him, seeing what got him into saying this?
Yeah, as I say, I mean, I was raised Catholic, and by the time I was 13, I'd left the religion. I didn't believe it anymore. So yes, it happens all the time.
So, this is the first thing. The first thing he says, that this was when he was 13 years old. Okay, let's hear the story or the reason why he says he left the religion.
A day I came home and all of the brothers from the masjid was over at the house, and there was this brother, Yaqub, very kind, loved his scent, loved his nature. But apparently he had castrated a wino, a homeless person, for urinating on the masjid.
He castrated him?
Castrated him.
And he's sharing the story with you?
No. Everybody's around. Like 13 of the brothers from the mosque are there. because Yaqub has been arrested, and they're talking about that. And they were sitting. The conversation was, well, he shouldn't have.
So he says, he asked him, have you seen this yourself? Imagine castrating a human being. Who does this? Like, I mean, the why?
I mean, this is another thing, right? Yeah, okay. As far as I know, castration is not a punishment within Islam. I don't know whether there are some fringe school of jurisprudence that might allow it, but as far as I know, there is no punishment of castration. But it's not like you don't get in Islam other parts of your body being chopped off for certain crimes, like the hands of the thief, for example. So, like the idea is like, oh, who would do this? Who would dismember someone as a punishment? It's like, well, you will. Yeah, you just you happen to be chopping off a different part of the body. It doesn't make it any less grotesque. So, this fake kind of, who would do that? Who would do that? You would. It's just a different body part.
All the stories that we hear in our life. So he's asking him, did you see this yourself? I mean, even PBD, who's probably doesn't get shocked by anything, because I said he's an agent, but he's like hearing this. I'm like, come on, if you make up a story, at least make it a bit believable, yeah? Anyways, let's accept.
I don't see how that is not believable necessarily. I mean, you do get sort of all kinds of screwed up things going. People will, again, not saying that it is in line with Islamic law or something, but it's not like you don't get extrajudicial activities from offended Muslims that have gone around and done, maybe not castration, but we've seen plenty of mob violence against people who have been accused of apostasy or blasphemy, disrespecting Muhammad and stuff like that. I mean, there's been endless stories like that. People being beaten to death and things like that. Now, that is technically not the way you're supposed to do it under Sharia, but we know that certain fundamentalist Muslims, when they get triggered over an insult to the religion, they do crazy criminal things. We've seen so many examples of that over the last 25 years. So again, for him to sit there like all dumbfounded about this, it's like you're not living in the real world, my friend.
Now, I have not heard this in Sharia or seen this anywhere, but I know that it's a practice. Like, for example, if you're a man and you're working in the harem, that's the first thing they do.
I mean, Mr. T445 says in Islam, castration has been used for generations. Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's not something I've heard of. I'm not saying that maybe it hasn't gone on, but as far as I can tell, I mean, I did a little bit of research. As I said, I didn't have much time to prepare tonight, and I couldn't specifically find anything that it was in line with kind of Sharia or anything like that. But again, I don't know. I haven't had the time to do it. So, I mean, I'll have a look into it in more detail. Maybe I'll put something in the description of the video if I find anything on it. Or if you want to leave anything in the chat about that, if there's any links and stuff you want to leave, please do. But yeah, it's not as if like you don't dismember in other ways. I mean, cutting the left hand and the right foot off the person if they are what's that punishment for? That's in the Quran as well. Can't be, the one starts where it's like you cut the opposite hand and foot off.
I'm trying to think if it's zina or if it's some other, I don't know, some other obscure thing. I don't know, but it's ridiculous in any case.
Yeah, exactly.
This story for now. So he's asking him, were you there? No, there was people in the mosque and he was arrested. So he was arrested for something. I mean, is it proven or not? A group of people are saying something. Is it proof? Okay, let's hear what he's saying.
He shouldn't have
Castrated.
Well, he shouldn't have. What is the term? I can't. Desecrate. That was it. He shouldn't have desecrated the holy temple.
Sorry, desecrated what? The
holy temple.
Yeah, he was talking about. He said that the person who got castrated was I don't know, urinating on the side of the mosque essentially. So that was it. And I think the guy's point is, it's like they were the people who were discussing it, because I did watch this little clip after I'd seen this, and apparently it's like he was just shocked that the Muslims who were discussing it were more offended by the act of the guy urinating on the mosque than they were about what this other guy had done to him in response. And again, you do find this as a reaction. I have to, and obviously we're not talking about all Muslims here, but the number of people, like particularly take something like after the Charlie Hebdo massacre, right? When they went around in France, they killed all those people. It's about 11 years ago now, for those who don't remember. They killed a bunch of satirical cartoonists for drawing Muhammad. And so many times I came across Muslims who would say things like, well, look, we don't agree with them going and killing them. But I can understand it because it was really offensive what they did. And it's like, if you think that there is something wrong with your psychology. And while again, this is not all Muslims react like this, but there are enough of them to make me think your offense level is basically corrupting your psychology. If you honestly think that it's more offensive what they did than the fact that they were murdered for it. And I think this is the point of this story that this Terrance Howard guy is going on about. It's the extreme, it's the fact that they're more offended by pissing on the side of a building than somebody, getting his privates cut off. And I think it's, I don't agree with anything else that Terrance Howard has ever said. I mean, he seems like a complete lunatic to me. But on that point, I would agree with him. Oh, and it was highway robbery. Thank you, Rising Damp. Yeah, highway robbery where you get the hand and the foot cut off from opposite sides of the body. Thank you very much. I knew it was something like that. Right, let's play on.
The Holy Temple? I know, sorry, we're talking about urinating and stuff like this and temples. I think maybe you're mixing religions here. I think maybe you're mixing religions and regions. I'm not going to say which religion. I think people are...
No, I think he was just referring to, he's kind of using all-purpose language, so he's kind of interchanging mosque and temple. I don't think he was mixing it up. It's just because he's non-denominational in his religious belief now, so...
Already in their mind understand what I'm talking about, but I think maybe you're getting things confused here. Who calls the mosque a holy temple? No Muslim uses this terminology. I mean, this just shows what we're talking about. Like, you saying you're a Muslim, but to say you were a Muslim, you need to actually even have a basic understanding of what Islam was. For me to say I left something, I need to first understand what that thing is. So I don't know what this holy temple is. I'm Muslim. All of these things are things that Muslims don't say. But anyways, let's continue hearing the story about the temple. Guys, remember, holy temple, urinating and defecating.
So again, he's obsessed with trying to always portray any critic of Islam who said they used to be a Muslim. His default position is they were never really a Muslim. He does this for every single person. Basically, to him, there's never been an ex-Muslim. And the reason he does this, and I've seen this in so many videos, is because it burst the bubble of this idea that, oh no, we're the fastest growing, everyone's always joining Islam. No one ever leaves because it's such an obvious truth. And the number of ex-Muslims is obviously a major counter to that claim. So he's always going to sow doubt for his Muslim audience that these people are ever really Muslims.
Certain religions, you probably get the idea. Anyways.
By urinating on the mosque. That was what they were talking about. They weren't talking about the fact that this young man or older gentleman was also a child of God that may have been lost. And I was like, that, it was so severe.
You're overhearing this conversation?
Yes.
Or you're
I'm sitting, no, I'm in the stairs and they're in the living room.
So you're not part of the conversation
No.
the 13 men are having?
I'm just listening.
Got it.
And it could have been 12, but it felt like all the seats were taken up. And so at that moment, I started questioning Islam in that regard because a God of love, I couldn't see that happening.
Okay, so let's break this down. Let's understand what he's saying now. First, we have this wild, insane story. He himself admits he's not an eyewitness to it. He says that he overheard some people from a distance, it seems. He wasn't even in the middle of the conversation. That someone was arrested for this crime. So there's no confirmation that this happened or not. He hasn't seen a confirmation himself. There's no confirmation. Let's assume this story is true, okay? Let's accept this wild story.
Well, he did say that the police had been called earlier, and he said that the guy had been arrested. So unless you just think he's made up the entire story, it's not just hearsay if he's saying that he saw the police being called, but whatever.
That, it's crazy when people say stories. I mean, bring something more believable. Castrating a human being. Okay, all right. So
yeah, that's never happened in the history of the world, is it? That somebody's been brutally castrated. It's just, I mean, who could believe that? I mean, it's not like people who fly to the moon on a winged donkey or whatever, fly to heaven. That's completely believable, isn't it?
Let's say this happened. Let's say this is true, and this story happened. Then see how what he says. Then from that moment, I started questioning Islam because a loving God. So how did you move from a man doing something in the mosque or a group of men saying something in a mosque to God? I mean, maybe you're confusing religions again. We don't believe God is a human being.
Well, no, that's not. I mean, clearly, what he's saying is, if this is a loving God, then why has it inspired such brutal behaviour, the religion of this loving God, in the people that are following it? That's the obvious point that he's making, and yet he's going to play this fucking game of like, oh, what does he mean? Oh, does he mean that the man is a god? It's like deliberately playing dumb here. You know what I mean? Anyone who's watching that video who isn't a propagandist like Muslim Lantern knows the spirit of what this guy is saying. They know what he's getting at. And yet he's going to go off on some fucking tangent about it. Like, oh, he's going to start quoting things to say that, Allah isn't a human being or something like that. He knows that's not the point of it. It's just, but he can actually deal with the point. And the point is, why, if it is a loving God, why is this brutal behavior coming out of his adherents? And why is this this kind of almost nonchalance to the violent act itself? Why is that taking second fiddle to the fact they're all offended about a mosque being pissed on? That's the point of the story. I think everyone can see that, but he doesn't want to address that because in his mind, I would say it's probably how he does believe, because this is the way they always talk about whenever there's an incident like Charlie Hebdo or whatever. They will say things like, well, we don't technically agree with what they did, but this was a terrible blasphemy and it was totally offensive. So you kind of reap what you sow. So because he does engender that mentality, he knows that makes him look bad if he just comes out and says it. So he's going to do this waffle now.
I wonder whether he goes and just reacts at the spur of a moment, or whether he actually plans this and this is his strategy. This is the tactic that he uses, that he's really thought out, delivering this, thinking that this is going to make some sort of an impact. I'm not sure which way or how he does these streams.
Well, I think it's because, but certainly for these, I mean, obviously, if you've got like a live stream when you're just getting people call in, you can't necessarily plan it in that way. But he's actually reacting to these clips which have been sent to him, so he does time to prepare and do it like this, and try to put it in the most palatable way. Because again, this isn't about getting new converts. This is about keeping the flock in line. This is what Daru is primarily, as we know. So
we don't believe any Muslim is God on earth. We don't believe Muslims are a representation of the faith. I mean, I know many of the people who bring these claims, anyways, are not bringing them from a genuine point, but we don't believe any of this. We believe in the Islamic teachings. And what's mind-blowing, that like many Muslims probably listening probably know this, but a lot of non-Muslims don't know. What's mind-blowing that this exact story exists in our Islamic history. So, I mean, it cannot get more wild than this. I think Allah guided this person to say this, so Allah can make people learn the mercy of Islam.
Really? So before you were accusing him basically of just lying, making up the story, and now this is all part of Allah's plan, so that you can give us some bullshit story about how Muhammad is so merciful. Yeah, okay, all right, but we'll let him do his little story, but then we're going to highlight maybe some less merciful stories of Muhammad afterwards. So let him do his little.
And what you just put in there into the stream, this was an excellent comment, very good point.
Oh yeah, about that was yeah. So if a 13-year-old Christian boy came to these Dawa guys and told them he wanted to be a Muslim, they will send him back and tell him he can't be his religion. Yeah, it's a great point. That really is. You know that they would be giving him 15 Qurans and they could take him aside and getting his email address so they could, pump him full of more propaganda. Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, they'd give him a wife for free.
Yeah, they'd be parading him around saying, "Oh, this is Allah's miracle."
Allah can make people learn the mercy of the Prophet Muhammad. So Allah can educate people about the truth and mercy and compassion of Islam that they are trying to claim doesn't exist. So what do we have? We have an exact 100% similar situation without the castration, obviously.
Just to be clear, though, again, that was a bit of a straw man, because he didn't say that the mercy didn't exist. He was just saying that, look, this is an obvious example of people behaving who follow this religion in an extremely brutal and callous manner. And that makes him question. He didn't say there's no mercy at all. I mean, I think there isn't really much mercy in Islam, but still, it's the framing of this is dishonest.
Exact 100% same situation happening at the time of the Prophet. There is a man of the Arab. Arab is the people who live in the outskirts of Mecca and Medina. Very rigid people living in tents and stuff like that, right? So one of them came to the mosque. This is the story. This is an actual incident that happened in the life of the Prophet. It's in our narrations and hadith, in the most authentic books. The man came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Muslims were there, the Prophet were there. He went to the mosque and he started urinating. So exactly what you just said. Now we're saying a homeless person did it. This Arabi is a person also of a rigid nature or whatever, living in the outskirts of Medina. He comes and he starts urinating. The companions see him and they're about to take a hold of him. Of course, they're like, how could you do this? They want to capture him. They want to take him. They want to remove him or push him or do whatever they wanted to do to him.
Yeah, exactly. See, this is the thing. So he's acknowledging that even in the story, the natural reaction of the other Muslims was, yeah, we want to, fuck this guy up, basically. Do what, do whatever to him. That's a natural reaction. So even if Muhammad then steps in and says, oh, no, you shouldn't kill him, that was still the basic reaction, the level of offence, like the natural kind of fervent Muslim reaction is to go to violence. So again, not saying this is about all Muslims, but still, these are supposed to be the Prophet's companions, the best ever Muslims, and their initial reaction is violence. So, this story isn't doing the work you think it is so far.
So what do you think Muhammad is going to do? Is he going to say, oh, good idea, let's all do it?
Yeah, let's curb stomp him. No, I think he sends him on his way and says, don't worry about it. But yeah, well, let's see the rest of the story.
Because of course they believe this place is the house of God. So according to you, Islam should teach, because now if we're talking about God, this is going to be Islamic teachings now. Prophet is going to say, take this guy and castrate him, right? This is what you think Islam is about. The Prophet of Allah tells the companions, stop. Do not stop him from urinating. He didn't just tell them to stop. He said, do not interrupt. Let us remove. Do not interrupt him while he's urinating. Let him finish. Do you understand? Like, talk about castration. And when he finished urinating, then the Prophet told them, throw water on top of the urine, obviously to purify the area, basically cleanse it with water. Then the Prophet went to that man. What do you think the Prophet did? He castrated him, yeah, according to the story. Prophet ﷺ said to him that this is a house of God, this is a mosque, it's a place of worship. It's not appropriate for us to do something like this in a house of God, a place of worship. Then the Prophet, does it end there?
I wonder why he went to that little note rather than putting the hadith on the screen like he normally does in his little box there. You know what? I really got to check this hadith out afterwards, because he often only partially quotes them or doesn't give the surrounding context of it. So I reckon there might be something suspect about this, but we'll let him finish.
Imagine the mercy. Like, if we talk about mercy and compassion, I mean, if this clip reaches you, Mr. Terrance, then this should be the reason for you to come back to Islam. If this was the reason, truly, if the story is true, then this should be the reason that you come back to Islam, because you want to believe in a merciful God in a story like this. Your exact story here. Here's a prophet of God telling us how to behave.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, even let's assume that he's given the whole hadith and he's accurately portrayed it, and there aren't other versions of the hadith where Muhammad sticks a sword in afterwards. I mean, obviously, I don't think it's going to be that, but there are plenty of other hadiths that you can come across of Muhammad and stories in the biographies, etc., of him ordering people to be murdered for making fun of him, or he tortures someone and then has him beheaded for trying to find treasure or something like that. So there's plenty of brutality that is either done directly by Muhammad or ordered by him as the Muslim leader on other people. So yeah, this mercy thing it's a toss of a coin. I've said this before. It's a toss of a coin with Muhammad. Yeah, you can find some nice stuff in the hadiths, and you can find some brutal stuff. And this guy is only ever going to show you the nicer version. So no, this is not a reason to return to Islam.
The story doesn't end there, where the Prophet just tells him that and lets him go. Then the Prophet turns around and he speaks to the Sahaba, the companions. And he said to them, we were sent from God, or God commanded us, muyassirin, as people who are lenient, people who are easy, people who are merciful. Not mu'assirin, not people who are of difficulty, not people who bring about hardship to other people. Mind-blowing. I mean, this story.
Yeah, and also not particularly believable when you know the full context of Muhammad's life and everything that he did or ordered to be done on his behalf. As I say, it's a real toss of a coin. We don't have the victims able to tell their story, do we? We just know that there's a lot of dead bodies piled up behind this prophet.
I mean,
okay, do you want to put this on the screen?
You know the character.
Oh, you got something to? Yeah, go on. Hang on. Is this the thing he was quoting?
Yeah.
Order them to leave him in a bucket. The Prophet said, "You've been sent to make things easy." Okay, all right. So it seems like he hasn't lied about this hadith. Then I'd still like to read maybe the stuff around it, but okay. So yeah, I mean, I'll acknowledge, fair enough, that hadith's pretty good. Makes Muhammad look reasonable. It does show that all his followers were ready to kick the crap out of him, but still,
not what people keep character assassinating the Prophet ﷺ with lies and fabricated stories and fairy tales. These are real life events. This is what Muslims are being taught of how to behave. So even if this fairy tale story was true, all of these Muslims went against the action of the Prophet ﷺ.
Yeah, they've also been told by the same Prophet that if you leave your religion, kill them. So again, it's a bit of everything, isn't it? It's not too merciful.
When they have an actual precedent of how to behave, and they have a clear teaching of the Prophet that we are sent to easy and lenient to the people. So how can I blame God and say that I believe in a merciful God? When these people literally have in their own tradition, the Prophet teaching us what to do in the exact same situation if this were to happen in real life.
Because there's plenty of other situations where the brutality is clear and ordered by the same God. So whether this reflects something that Muhammad did personally or not, there's plenty of other stuff to choose from, which would make you doubt that this is a loving God he's talking about.
It's insane. But now I want to bring attention to the most important thing, because I'm going to play another quick clip now. But I want to bring attention to this idea. People who criticize Islam, people who claim they left Islam, is always, 99% of the time, emotional stuff. They're emotional, or it's lies. Really.
No, that's not true. That is just your feeling of it, because you can't handle people that leave your religion. So you are the one who's about to lie. Now, he's about to play the second part, the second clip he's going to be reacting to, which is it's like an Egyptian ex-Muslim woman who I think she's gone to Christianity. And the number of lies that come out of Muslims' lantern mouth here, now, even by his standard, is ridiculous. So we'll carry on.
It's either emotional or lies.
No.
There is never anything of substance and value that they have to bring that is true, that is a critique of the actual religion and the actual faith. And it's really disappointing. Now I'm going to play.
I mean, that's such like. I mean, how many times have we reviewed his videos where people have brought critiques of Islam that are nothing to do with emotions, and they are absolutely true, and we can verify that, and we can go through the different parts of the scripture to prove that they're not lying. So this is absolute crap on his part.
Yeah, but drastic. If somebody comes there and wants to give him facts and wants to show him that he is wrong, he blocks them.
Well, yeah, exactly. He cuts them off. He interrupts them. He said, "Oh, you're being emotional, so I've got to end the call." We've seen him do this so many times. Again, I've got plenty of evidence on my channel that he's talking shit here. So yeah, exactly.
Another clip, and this clip is another example, because I want to tell you guys there's so many of these clips happening now. Is this script? You got to be aware of it as Muslims, even as non-Muslims watching this clip. You got to be aware of the script.
I mean, he's got some fucking front to be saying that other people are using a script when all these Dawa guys are using the same script. It's just talk about every accusation is a confession. I think that's an example of it.
But the minute you see someone says, I'm an ex-Muslim. I used to be a Muslim. I was a Muslim, but this happened. Always question this idea. Of course, look at what they say, but question what they say, number one. And number two, question the fact that they were even Muslims to begin with. 13 years old, this, that. So I'm going to play another clip. And like I said, this is not one or two clips. Today there is hundreds or tens of thousands of these clips out there in online.
Yeah, so what does that tell you then?
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
all lying, are they? They're all lying. None of them could possibly be an ex-Muslim. No, of course not. That just shows that this is major cope. The fact that you acknowledge there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of these clips, and they're all lying. It's all a big conspiracy against Islam.
Thousands or tens of thousands of these clips being circulated here and there of people who every single one of them claims I'm an ex-this. You don't find anyone say I'm an ex-Christian, I'm an ex-Jew, I'm an ex-this. It's only ex-Muslim.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. He says this every time. Oh, well, why are they saying they're ex? It's exactly because of the apostasy laws. It's the very fact that so many ex-Muslims get persecuted, or they get basically ostracized from the community. They get lied about by you, and you call them all sorts of names and everything. It's because most other religions are just like, okay, if you've left, no problem. So that's why they don't feel the need so much to critique their old religions in the way that Muslims who lead the faith do, because you treat them appallingly.
Let me play this other example of the same idea: lying, fabricating, making up stuff, and claiming that person was a Muslim before. Okay,
Islam came as a rejection of biblical values. It was a movement against the Ten Commandments. The reason is Muhammad violated all of the Ten Commandments. Every biblical value that the Christians and Jews stand for, their prophet has violated. They cannot save face here. I was born a Muslim. I was born in Cairo. I really thought I was a Muslim, and I defended.
With all of my being, if I need to put my life down for it, I will do it.
Before I comment on this, Indian just coming out of nowhere, jumping in front of the screen. You see, I told you, listen to the words. It's always lies. It's always lies or emotional things. And you will see what I'm saying. So the first thing she says is what? She's from Cairo. First thing she says, what? I was a Muslim. Arabic-speaking people, not a single one of them says Muslim.
What the fuck is he talking about when he says that? Arabic people don't say the word Muslim, so they don't. I mean, what she's doing an English language video, so what does he expect her to say? Or is he implying that an Arab has never left the religion? An Arab Muslim has always. I mean, what's he talking about? I've spoken to many ex-Muslims who are Arab, and yeah, they do. They use the word Muslim. So where is he getting this from?
Not a single one, because we speak Arabic. And in Arabic, the letter is sin. It's Muslim. If she was born in Cairo and she's an Arab, she would never use the term Muslim.
Oh, wait a second. So he's talking about the emphasis on the first part of the word. So he's saying Muslim rather than Muslim. I mean,
that's all he has. Yeah.
This is desperate, even by his standards. She put the emphasis on the wrong part of the word, so therefore she was never a real Muslim.
It's like Quran and Quran.
God damn.
But when you look at a woman like this, and I know their faces because I've been to Egypt, I've seen the faces of these people. Many people don't know.
Oh, he knows like every Egyptian. Okay.
He apparently is a geneticist now. He can tell from your face the exact, square inch land that you were born on, and he can tell you your whole family tree. I mean, what the?
It's pathetic.
I mean, as I say, this is why I labelled this a cope session, because any Muslims listen to this. You've got, even if you're a Muslim, you've got to miss this. This is bad in terms of trying to refute this stuff. If you need to go to this level, I know people that I know what they look like. She doesn't look like that.
To Christians in Egypt. Christians, and most of them lie that they were Muslims before. Why? Because they speak the Arabic language. Islam is surrounding them. So they pretend, I was a Muslim. I know this, I know that. Of course, you would know, you're in that community. But you can see in their speech, their lies. As Allah tells us in the Quran. The hypocrisy, you always see in their speech. You notice in their speech the lies that they're making. This woman says she was born in Cairo. So instantly, from her face, I can tell. From her looks, because they have a certain look. And from her words. No Muslim. Go to look. Don't.
I mean, this is it. He's now the arbiter of the world. He's just gonna ex-Muslim, right? If I don't like the look of you or how you pronounce a word, you are never an ex-Muslim. That's it. That is the judgment of the Muslim lantern now. He's arbiter for the whole fucking world, is a real Muslim or not.
It's better than any lie detector.
I mean, the funny thing is as well, you'll often find that ex-Muslims. Yeah, she could have been born in Cairo and then moved to some other country and picked up a little bit of an accent from some different country because she moved there maybe as a teenager or something. This happens all the time. Yeah. I mean, half the Dawa guys were born or raised in London. Does that mean, he's got a Cockney accent, so therefore he can't be, he was never a real Muslim or something? I mean, this argument is just so stupid.
Believe me, speak to anyone from Cairo and tell him to tell you the word Muslim or a sentence in Arabic that has the word Muslim in it. None of them is going to say Muslim. This is just a US foreign thing. And when it comes to she's speaking in English, it doesn't matter if she's speaking in English. She's an Arab, so she's going to pronounce.
See, this is funny. Even the people, he's obviously reading his own chat comments. Even they're calling him out that this is a stupid argument. They're saying she's speaking in English. So even his own Muslim followers are finding this weak. This is funny.
The word in the way that was in her mind all of these years that she grew up with. Muslims don't use that word. We all even make fun of that word. So if betting was permissible, I would bet right now tens of thousands of dollars that this woman is not saying the truth. Okay, let's continue hearing what she says.
I went to the church and I heard the sermon. The holiness of the topic was so powerful on me. I started crying. I started crying from the beginning of the sermon to the end. And I immediately realized that the religion I was born in was not holy. So I started reading about Islam for the first time. I started reading about Sharia. I couldn't believe that Islam violated all the 10 commandments.
Remember what I said. Emotions. I started crying. I started like all of the
Really,
She
I mean,
read the Quran. What the fuck are you talking about?
I mean,
Oh,
also
sorry.
stops. How many times have we seen when they do these shahada videos and stuff like this, and they say, "Oh, this was so beautiful. Oh, I was crying. It's so lovely to be." You know, they do this emotional stuff all the time when it's somebody being welcomed into Islam or something like that. Or, "Oh, I read this line. It's so beautiful in the Quran," and stuff like that. So it's all right for Muslims, but if anybody else has an emotional reaction, then suddenly that invalidates the entire experience. Now, I'm not saying that she's giving good reasons here. I mean, I'm not a Christian, I'm not a religious person. So, I mean, I'm not saying that that is a persuasive reason to find Islam wrong. But again, it's just the duplicity of this. They are all about the emotions when it's how beautiful Islam is. But if it's anything else, then suddenly it doesn't count.
But come on, Plastic, it's always like that. You can become a Muslim at the spur of the moment just by jumping in and telling somebody, well, look, Muhammad was a great guy and you're now a Muslim. Oh, yeah. Oh, welcome, wonderful. But dare you criticize it, then you need to be a scholar.
Yeah, it's always been that way, isn't it? Yeah.
Of course, it's so funny that it says, she's such a brave woman. You don't know there's 15 to 20 million Christians in Egypt. What's brave about this?
Well, to be fair, the Coptic Christians have had a long history of persecution in Egypt. And anyone who doubts that, you can just Wikipedia it, and you will just see it. Even in the last 20 years, it's just so many incidents of people being attacked. There's been murders. There's been attacks on churches. I mean, I've said this previously in older videos. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it a while though for new people. I mean, when I went to Egypt, it was around 2013. It wasn't long after the Arab Spring, around 2013ish, and I went to a Coptic Christian mosque as part of like the tourist thing. They had armed guards with machine guns in concrete bunkers outside the front of the church to protect it because it gets attacked. So this is I don't know if that's still the case in Egypt now, but that was my experience of what the Copts basically have to go through. They need armed guards in the front of their churches. So I mean, maybe it was just that this was in Haggadah. So I mean, I don't know if that's true in the rest of the country, but that was my experience. So to pretend that there's Coptic Christians have no fear, they're just living totally peacefully. There's no oppression against them. Not from the reality record. I just think this is bullshit.
I can name you multiple people in Egypt who are atheists and this and that, and out there on YouTube and other places they're talking about Islam in a bad way. And Christian preachers and priests and whatever, they're protected. They're in Egypt. They're living. They've been living since the Muslims went to Egypt. They allowed them to live. They actually protected them. A lot of people don't know this. When Amr ibn al-As went, in their book, the book of the Coptic church called the Sangsar, it mentions Amr ibn al-As came because the Roman king, because he didn't like the Coptics, they were persecuting them. And they killed the high priest or whatever, or his brother, and they chopped him to pieces and threw him in the sea, and all of the story. When Amr ibn al-As came, he let them open their churches, and he called the high priest to come back. His name Benjamin, I believe.
Yeah, but let's be real here, right? Again, when you have an occupying force, which is exactly what Islam took Egypt under the threat of violence. Okay, it was invaded and taken over by Muslims. Now that doesn't mean that over 1,500 years of history, you might not have some Muslim rulers who were more benevolent and made sure that the Christians were protected sometimes. But the point is, Islam was an invading, occupying colonial power, essentially, that took over Egypt and other Christian lands that were part of North Africa and around the Middle East. So they were the invaders and they were the imperial overlords. Okay, so doing this, with such benevolent rulers, that's like saying, when Europeans came into Africa or South America or North America or whatever, there was they were protecting the natives so wonderfully. Like, no one's going to buy that story. It's an imperial project, and there's no different with Islam. So, and again, you only have to go. You can just go Wikipedia the oppression of Coptic Christians, and you will just find loads and loads of examples up to the modern day of their oppression. So this fucking "aren't we lovely" overlord story is just yeah, it's a it's a very selective history. Let's say that at least.
Was the guy
Nobody knows
who
this.
just ran his car into the synagogue, wasn't he from Egypt?
Oh, I haven't seen. Well, there's been loads of terror attacks recently. I don't know which one you're talking about. Are you, in Egypt itself?
No. In the UK, I can't remember what city, where he ran his car in there. Like, luckily, the
Oh, yeah, I
explosives
can't
didn't go
remember.
off.
I'd have to. I don't know. You know, it's hard to keep up with them all. I can't remember, to be honest.
Peaceful.
But
The religion
I'd
of
have to
peace
double
is
check.
really giving you a lot of shit.
Yeah, I mean, looks like we got a Coptic Christian here in the chat, and yeah, we suffered a lot since their conquest. Thank God my ancestors were able to pay the jizya. Yeah, exactly. This is the other thing. Yeah, he protected you in the same way the mafia does when you pay your tax. So yeah, it's just this propaganda.
But this is how they repay the goodness that was given to them. So yeah, emotional stuff. So now she says the Prophet Muhammad broke the 10 commandments. Okay, let's hear.
Don't kill. Muhammad killed. Don't steal. He stole. Don't have sex outside of marriage. He himself had sex outside of marriage.
Don't worship an idol.
I know. Well, it's honestly really funny. This idiot just pops up. Like tech support in the middle of every time she's talking, he just pops up.
Islam is the biggest idolatry that is out there.
The black stone that they go and
Kiss and worship.
that same black stone was in the Kaaba before Islam, and they took it.
Okay, don't kill. Prophet Muhammad killed. Don't steal. Prophet Muhammad stole. Prophet Muhammad had intercourse outside of marriage. Source?
Yeah, I mean, but before, I mean,
Hadith.
he's even going to say source. Everyone who knows anything about Islam knows that all three of those things are true. We know that he had sex slaves. He was gifted one for a start, Maria the Copt. Is he going to pretend that that is not true? Yes, we know that he had a career as a caravan robber, essentially. So yes, he stole stuff. And did he kill? I mean, does a bear shit in the woods? Of course. We'll get into the details of that in a second, but. Again, like you don't need to be a Christian to understand that what that woman just said is actually true. So let's see his answers to this.
I made it up. Source? Trust me, bro. These are the sources. Like, no sources. Zero sources. Okay, thou shalt not kill was given as a command to who? The 10 commandments was given to Moses. Moses didn't kill. Of course, you're allowed to defend yourself. It's about innocent people. You're not allowed to harm innocent people. You're not allowed.
So Muhammad only ever was defending himself, right? Remember, this is what he said. He only killed in self-defense. Okay, we'll examine that claim in a second.
To hurt innocent people, of course. But in war, when you're fighting other people, Moses, which this was revealed to him, and all the prophets of God that came after him, all of them fought. The Old Testament is full of murder, actually. I don't know what you're talking about. Of course, in war, when you're fighting an enemy, you're allowed to defend yourself. So this is the killing. It's actually this.
Yeah, but if you start the war and start it simply because you're spreading your religion, then I think it's a little bit different. It's hard to say you're defending yourself when you're spreading your religion by the sword. So that's number one, but we'll let him carry on.
We have a report of only one man. The Prophet ﷺ killed himself. One man. And that man he made an oath that he would kill the Prophet ﷺ. He said, either I will die or the Prophet will die in battle. And in that battle, he died. The Prophet killed him. Because he was coming to kill the Prophet. It's the only record we have of the Prophet himself doing that.
Yeah, and you're right. So here's the word he used there, himself. So he thinks that the only death that Muhammad is responsible for is the one that he does with his own bare hands, or the person that he puts his sword through. Now, we know, everybody who knows anything about Islam knows what a dishonest framing that is. When you are the leader, you don't tend to kill the people yourself, okay? You get it sometimes, but what happens, you order people to be killed. Now, if you look at it from that framework, which still makes Muhammad morally responsible, he is morally responsible for the deaths of hundreds of people. And we're just going to give you a few examples here. So again, I can't remember the names of the specific Muslims, and obviously they're going to have Arabic names, so I'll probably butcher them. But there was the aforementioned guy who, after the battle, he was trying to find the treasure, and he set him on fire to find the treasure, and then had one of his men behead him. Okay, that was Muhammad. There was a slave girl who was known to have she was suspected of mocking Muhammad. He had her ordered to be put to death. There was the Bani Qurayza, sorry, I'm pronouncing that wrong, the Jewish tribe, which essentially signed off on you know, several hundred of them being killed, including all the children over 13 years of age, I think it was. There was the poets that were mocking, writing satirical poetry about Muhammad. He had several of those put to death on his order. Now, Muslim Lantern thinks that because he didn't behead them personally, that he's not responsible. Does anyone buy that argument as a morally defensible argument to say he is not responsible for their deaths? This is so fucking dishonest. Sorry, Stott. I didn't know if you wanted to throw in with any other examples you could think of.
No, that's it. Yeah.
But I mean, there's loads of them. And in fact, what I'll do is you can go on the Wiki Islam page about this, but which I'll put a link in the description. But I'll also put a link in both Stops and Stops a few years ago did a video where he went through this list on Wiki Islam with another of the co-hosts on the Gin Tonic show. They went through every single one of these incidents and gave the context and the background to show that Muhammad was just brutal in just having all these people put to death, often for really trivial reasons. And many of them were not in battle, they were not in war. It was for things like taking a piss out of him, writing a mean-spirited poet about him. And I've got that clip on my channel, so I will put a link to that because it's a brilliant video. It's really, really good. So for more details on that, check the link. If you're watching this afterwards, I'm going to have to put it in once we finish the live stream. But if you're watching this after the fact, it will be in the description of this video. Excellent. And it just goes in so much detail. Muhammad was damn brutal.
You don't have any other records. Don't steal. A prophet stole. What a liar. Where's the proof? Where is the proof? Don't have intercourse outside. The prophet would have intercourse outside. Do you think he's going to be telling companions, don't do it, and he will be doing it and nobody's going to criticize him?
Maria the Copt. She was gifted as a sex slave. He did not marry her and he had sex with her. That is established in the Islamic literature. So he's lying here.
I mean, if you want to lie, at least bring some sources. At least when you make it up, at least just mix up. Then the black stone was there before the Kaaba. What is the proof? They worship the black stone. Nobody worships the black stone. We answered this a million times.
Oh my.
That Umar al-Khattab explicitly says that you...
Sorry, did you want to respond to that one? So,
no, this is, I mean, it's amazing how he can lie without blushing, without any hesitation, without breaking a sweat, nothing. This just rolls off his tongue like it's absolutely normal. It's disgusting.
Well, I mean, as I'll let up north says, yeah, exactly. He gave orders to harm. I feel like Muslim Lantern has to lie to himself to be a Muslim. Yeah, I think there is a bit of that. I mean, sometimes they just don't care about lying. But I think sometimes they convince themselves of the lie so much because they repeat it. And they have to sort of break the cognitive dissonance.
You are only a stone. You don't benefit, you don't harm. This is the second caliphate of Islam saying this. And if the Prophet didn't kiss you, I wouldn't kiss you. You can perform Hajj without kissing the stone. Nobody worships the stone. And the funny thing, you have this same kissing stone story or whatever, or you have these stone stories that forgive sins in the Old Testament and Isaiah.
Again, trying to do the whataboutism, he knows that this does go on with the kissing the black stone and everything. And as I say, sorry, I haven't got the, I haven't had the time to go and get specific bits and pieces about this. But again, I think we all know about the black stone and its rather questionable place in Islamic kind of theology. But again, he's just trying to brush this off by saying, oh, but what about this in the Bible? It's like, again, you've already lost the argument if this is what you've got to do. Whataboutism is conceding the argument face on.
They don't know this is in their own book. We don't have this. We don't believe worshipping the stone. But don't throw these stones when you live in a glass house.
I mean, that's fucking rich, isn't it? I mean, you really should. The biggest glass house on the planet, I think, is the Islam in terms of its contradictions and its absolute hypocrisy.
It's insane.
And Islam is the only religion that legally kills those who leave it. Actually, it's an obligation to kill you. Anyone on the streets who kills you will be forgiven. This is in Sharia.
Source? I made it up.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that last part, where she said anyone on the streets is going to be forgiven for killing someone, I actually don't know where she's got that last bit from. The idea, yes, we know Muhammad says it in the Hadiths, and we know it is a cornerstone of Islamic theology and jurisprudence that, yes, if you leave the religion, yeah, there are a couple of other options. You might be able to get 3 days to repent, or you may have the option of being exiled if you can run away quick enough. But if you are brought up under Sharia, you're found guilty of apostasy, and you don't repent, you're going to die. That is it. Islam
is the only religion, she says, legally that commands that. She hasn't read Deuteronomy. Go to Deuteronomy. Read yourself. I'm going to display the verse on the screen. It doesn't only say, it says that your hand, if someone entices you, your father, your mother, your friend, anyone entices you to worship any other god, apostasy, then you be the person who unalive him instantly. You do it. And then
Yeah, that is the Old Testament scripture. I mean, yeah, I mean that's absolutely true. But it's for a start, we're talking about Islam here, and secondly, yeah, okay, I don't care what it says in the Bible, but I imagine there'll be plenty of Christians who say, well, you know, we've got the new pact under Jesus, and that was Old Testament stuff. Now, whether you think that's a convincing argument or not, it's not really the point in this. The point is that you do believe now today in those apostasy laws, and yet you're going to pretend you don't for the purpose of this video.
everyone around you, let their hands be on this person. There's no such teaching in Islam, or you yourself as a vigilante do this. I have plenty of videos already responding to this idea. But again, you see, when we say lies, the funny thing is that she says, I left Islam, and she went to everything. She's lying about Islam. I says it exists in Islam, which actually exists in Christianity. She left Islam and went to this, where Paul tells you that to a Jew, I become a Jew, you know, so I can bring them to the Christian, I become a Christian. He becomes everything to everyone, so he can lie. He says, if my lie helps people or righteousness or whatever, why are you blaming me? If my lie is helping people to come closer to God.
I mean, that is the pillar that Darwin is built upon, is lying to try to get them into the fold of Islam. So again, this whataboutism to fucking Paul or something else in Christianity. The fact he's got the gall to say that when he has spent his years now, and all the Darwin guys do, deliberately lying as he's done throughout this video. And the purpose is, well, number one, to keep Muslims in, it's the primary one. But the other is when they go out on the street, it is to try and get converts. And they fail. But the point is they lie constantly. And between me and you, Stops, I mean, we've documented probably hundreds of times. You've probably done it thousands of times by now. The constant lying that they do. So for him to bring this up is, again, just look in the mirror, buddy.
Lying things that you talk about, it's happening in religion. The killing I already mentioned, killing babies, children, and infants. It is in the Old Testament, in 1 Samuel chapter 15, verse 3. And I can mention many, many more verses. She said whatever she's accusing Islam of, and she's saying she left off, is what is in her own scripture, that is in her own book.
And you're doing the same thing, except for, as I say, most Christians don't believe in the Old Testament stuff being law that's applicable now. You do about the apostasy laws.
Being a Muslim is like belonging to the mafia.
And she said also that, you know, kill people on the street. Being Islam is like being in the mafia. I told you there's 15 to 20 million. Why are they leaving you alive? Why are they not applying this law according to you?
Because they can live as a dhimmi, as you well know, and also because Egypt isn't actually under Sharia. I mean, there's Sharia parts of the legal system, obviously, but it's not purely based on that, is it? So therefore, but even if it was, yes, you've got dhimmi status, as he well knows. So you know, I really agree with this description. It is in terms of, I don't say everyone who's a Muslim is sort of like the mafia, but I'm saying this whole Sharia system is a mafia system. Essentially, it is protection tax money. Otherwise, you're going to get harmed, which is no functional difference to how the mafia works.
We don't have these millions of Christians alive then.
Islam is worse than communism. The leaders of Islam know that if they remove the death penalty for leaving Islam, the whole Islamic world will collapse.
Okay.
I wouldn't go quite that far, but you would see a rapid decline in Islam. I think it's fair to say that apostasy law does a lot of good work. And I think there are Darwa guys, or there are Muslim clerics and stuff who have kind of acknowledged this. I've seen clips of basically saying, yeah, you know, we've kept people in line with the apostasy law. So I wouldn't say it'd be a total collapse, but yeah, you would see this massive drop off, I think, of people who were part of the religion if the apostasy law was not there now. And maybe historically, if they never had it, maybe Islam would have not got this far. I don't know what you think, Stops. I mean,
I'm trying to find any kind of reference to the forgiving of somebody who kills an apostate, and I can't find it. Yeah, everything is about the killing of somebody who leaves Islam, but never the consequence. It's amazing that you don't find this. So this is, I'm a little bit sidetracked at the moment, because it's funny that you don't get this at all.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if you want to say that she's lied about anything, if that was deliberately put in there as a lie, then I'm quite happy to say she lied about that bit, or maybe she's just ignorant. Maybe she heard it from somewhere else.
There's millions of references here.
But considering the hundreds of lies he's told in this video, I think it's kind of, in comparison, it's not that big a deal.
Funny thing, anyone, just go Google. Is there a death penalty applied in Egypt for people who leave Islam?
Again,
it doesn't matter about Egypt, you fool.
We're not see again, implicit of this. Half the time when it's convenient for them, they say there is no Sharia compliant state in the world, not even Afghanistan, not an Islamic state. And yet when it suits them, it's kind of like, oh, we'll refer to the law and pretend that is true Islamic law. So now the Egyptian law is true Islamic law, and they haven't got apostasy. Fucking hypocrite! Oh my god! I mean, seriously, any Muslim watching this, do you really think this is honest what he's doing here?
you yourself see there's no such thing. She says if the leaders knew this, your leader, the Egyptian president, Sisi, built in 2019 the biggest cathedral in the Middle East. This is the guy who wants to murder us and persecute us. Built you the biggest cathedral in the Middle East. What are you talking about? It's
it's got nothing to do with what she's talking about. That's the point.
Honestly, hearing and listening to these people, I honestly don't want to play the rest of the video because she talks about emotional stuff. The rest of it is all emotional stuff without any proofs.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, we're not going to look at the rest of the video because we're only covering what he has. But the fact that he's missed out other bits, they're probably quite juicy. So there's probably stuff about the various things Muhammad did, his marriage to Aisha and stuff like that. I imagine that's all in there and he doesn't want to deal with that. So interesting, isn't it, that he's only covering this little bit.
She talks about, I was hearing the sermon and then I started to feel this whatever. And then the priest said, whoever wants to baptize it, and I came and I felt like I was cleansed.
The pastor was saying, if anybody was not baptized, we have a baptism. So I got up and I went to the baptism area and I was shivering.
It's all like stories and emotions and no proof, no evidences.
Why does she need evidence if she's telling a personal anecdote? I mean, get me right. I don't think that is particularly interesting. It's not interesting to us. I mean, we're non-believers. We don't care really why she's gone to Christianity. But the thing is, they love these emotional stories. Whenever anyone calls them up and says like, oh, before I became a Muslim, I was so down, and then I just saw this bright light, or I had a dream, and they go, oh, isn't this wonderful? And it's nothing but emotions. So again, just highlighting this same duplicity. If it's Muslims being emotional, it's the glory of Allah, and if it's anyone else being emotional, it's because they're irrational and they're evil, basically. I think we've just got like 30 seconds left of this, so we'll just finish this off and then wrap up. But
so the point of playing this clip is what? What's the point of playing this clip? Is the point I'm making? These two clips, they highlight the same thing. You're gonna find so many of these people today. People are saying I'm an ex-Muslim. I'm not claiming that there isn't nobody who leaves Islam. But sadly, the overwhelming majority of these people are not. They've never been Muslims. They're liars. They're people of other religions. And the reason is very simple. The reason is that when you leave a religion, you don't go and you say, I'm an ex-this. Nobody goes around saying that they were something.
Yeah, they do, ex-Muslims, and that bothers you because it says something about the religion. But we've touched on this before, so I won't labor the point.
Like I said, this doesn't exist anywhere. But it exists with Islam because it's done for reasons, propaganda, with these shells that are being bought or sold, as you guys know, by the Zionists. And then what did they do?
Oh, there we are. He had to squeeze it in the end. It's a Jewish conspiracy. Of course it is, because he's always... I mean, again, I don't even think I watched this last bit of the video, so that even surprised me. But of course, it couldn't be the fact that ex-Muslims are treated appallingly. It's the Jews who've done it. Of course it is. Oh dear, I think this is basically it. I think it's like 10 seconds left.
They spread this propaganda, the $7,000 post for this propaganda, and they get paid and they lie about Islam. And that we have to deal with this.
Yeah, so that's it. So Cope session, just made the Cope session, ending with it's a Jewish conspiracy, and there's no such thing as an ex-Muslim really. That is his way of trying to deal with the critique of Islam. So right, let's bring this off and wrap this up and just read some of the last comments. Stops, you go ahead, mate. What do you think of tonight's little therapy session with the Muslim land?
Well, you know, I'm actually hoping that there might be something positive. There might be something that will stimulate me intellectually, something that will show me that there is some thought behind this, something where I can say, actually, here he has a point. But every time we hear anything from this guy, it's always a disappointment. It's always like a very, very low level of morality, or there is no responsibility that he takes for Islam. There is nothing that he will actually admit that this is something bad, that this is something, that is something that we shouldn't have in Islam, but unfortunately, he will never do that. Everything he will try and somehow apologize for, that's why he's an apologist, and tries to whitewash it.
Yeah, I mean, to the point where he doesn't even really think there's such a real thing as an ex-Muslim. You know, they're all liars. They're all from other religions, all being paid by Israel or something. I mean, it's so childish. There's a comment here from Valentina. I'm worried about the new law Labour are going to introduce. I think channels like this will have to go to. I know that it's not a law, as I understand, unless they've also got a law coming. It is. They've got this new definition of Islamophobia, which basically means, yeah, you know, if you critique Islam, essentially, it's it's sort of a backdoor blasphemy, but it's not actually a law. I think it's just like a definition that the government can use when they want to point their finger at people and call them a Islamophobe or a racist or whatever. So I don't think we're at legal point here yet, Valentino. And if we are, I'll take my chances, because they're not going to shut me up. I mean, I've never said anything, as far as I'm concerned, bigoted. I think I'm talking the truth. I always say that, yes, I'm not talking about all Muslims. I always say there's plenty of nice Muslims around there. And my critique is, generally speaking, on these Dawa guys. So if that's Islamophobia, then fine, bring up in court if that has to be the case. But I'm not too worried about it. But I appreciate you bringing up the point. This guy is an idiot. Qatar pays dollars. Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is, I don't really like it. Everyone's always saying, oh, this person's a paid agent and that. And I really don't like to get into that kind of thing myself. I'm not saying that there aren't people out there like that do get paid, but I think mostly if you're going to get paid by someone, it tends to be they will pick you because you already have those kinds of beliefs, because then you'll be easy just to carry on doing it. So I don't doubt that Muslim Lantern actually thinks these things. I don't doubt that he's not a real Muslim and stuff and that he believes it. He's just incredibly dishonest. He just lies all the time, over and over again. And as you're saying, Stocks, it is disappointing because he's like the number one Dawa champion at the moment. He's overtaken Ali Dawa, he's overtaken Mohammed Hijab. He's actually at least trying to do this defense of the religion, and he's dreadful at it. All he relies on is lies, and then if he comes across someone who is good enough to take him down on his channel, he just cuts him off, and that's it. So this guy is not impressive by any means. But what should we be surprised? They're all working off the same the Dawa script that was developed by the likes of Zakir Naik and Hamza Sorties. I mean, they tweak it here and there, but it's the same shit they were saying 20 years ago. So what do we expect? They're never going to have a good argument for this stuff.
One thing I'd like to mention, and that is what I found when I was in, I think it was Doha or Abu Dhabi, I can't remember. What they did is they trotted out Europeans, and the favorite was Ginger. So what they did is they paid them a lot of money, put them on a plane, first class, flew them out, paraded them around, and said, you see, these are Europeans who were convinced by Islam. And this is the positive message of Islam. And they would parade them around from mosque to mosque to mosque to mosque, and then they would go and disappear again. This is what they did. But this was only temporary and only for the time that they were useful for the Muslims, for the emirs. And then they chucked them out again, sent them back to Europe and said, thank you very much, fuck off. But this is what happened. This is what I personally experienced when I was there.
A few comments. Sorry, I'll come back to that one. Thanks, Sarah. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and thanks for Rising Damp. Yeah, I'll definitely have some more proper sort of smaller videos up this week before next week's live stream. I'm not sure if Arlette up north, if you're an ex-Muslim or you've had an ex-Muslim. Someone in the chat had an ex-Muslim story, and if that was you, Arlette, then go check Arlette's channel out, or it might have been Mike Macaris. I think this is the Coptic Christian who may have previously been a Muslim. I'm not sure. Anyway, check out the channels of these people. If anyone has a you know, they've got stories of believing Islam. I always like to support ex-Muslim. Oh, you are an ex-Muslim. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you've got content on your channel, but if you have, then go check out Arlet's channel. Valentino said, Jurassic, I'd like to accept your interview offer, but it's not really safe for me and I have to keep a low profile. People know where I live. Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, as I say, I always say this to ex-Muslims. I'm more than happy to platform any ex-Muslim who wants to come on, whether you want to do it kind of anonymously in the way that I'm doing it. I mean, you don't see my face or real name, or if you want to be on camera, any ex-Muslim who wants to come on and tell their story, I'm quite happy to give them a platform because I think it is important. And it's always interesting to sort of hear people's experiences and just allow other ex-Muslims, you know, to know you're not alone. You know, there's a lot of people who've left the religion, so anyone who wants to do that. But I do understand, obviously, there's a lot of pressure and people's safety and so. I mean, even in my country, a lot of people just don't feel comfortable, let alone in kind of Muslim majority countries. But anyone who wants to do that, you can hit me up. I can have a little chat with you on Discord before, and we can sort out a time for you to come on the channel. Always happy to do that. Yeah, so sorry, yeah. So stops. Yeah, I think that's it, mate. And once again, thank you. But you've been a glorious addition to this live stream in terms of the critique. as it's always good fun. Yeah, and now that I am feeling 100% better, Allah could not keep me down. I'm going to be quite prolific next week. So everybody join in and watch the videos. There'll be I'm trying to get 2 members only videos up as well because I'm behind on those. So to the likes of Rise and Damp and the other members, you know, sorry I've not been keeping up with that. It's just been.
But you've got an excellent audience here. I think this is wonderful that you've got people who are listening, who are contributing, who are commenting on things like that, who are giving their personal opinions. I think that's wonderful.
No, it's great. And I want to say thanks to everyone who's left comments, all the people previously, and Valentino and Dodgy's mum, I think I saw in there as well, and Steve, and there was other people early in the chat. Thank you to everyone who's made a contribution tonight. I hope you've had some fun. It is always a bit of a laugh to you know, to see the lion of Islam here, just how bad his fucking arguments are. So I hope everyone's enjoyed. I will put the links down in a little bit on the video for this stuff I was talking about, you know, the list of all the people Muhammad Edward killed and everything. Check that out when you have some time. I will see you in regular videos during the week, and we'll be back again on Sunday for some more fun. Have a great week, everyone, and we will see you next week.